Hi everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or wanting to revisit an old classic, let us be your guide through the infinite list of TV shows.
So come join us every Friday as we discuss the pilot for a TV show while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storylines.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, where your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Hello. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, boo.
Not our pod anniversary.
Yeah, so this episode is going to be coming out actually exactly a month from today.
Yeah.
But we're recording this on December 30th. It is our 8-year wedding anniversary.
Aw, infinity anniversary.
We are recording while we wait for Maddie to come. She is driving from Pensacola, and I think she's just now leaving, so it's going to be a little bit.
You haven't checked?
No, I've checked. No, I've checked. That's why I find my phone exists. But yeah, so we're just hanging out and just decided to get a little recording done.
Yeah.
And this is a fun one.
This one was cute.
I was really glad because this was the only show from this month that you hadn't already seen. And that I had, because when same kind of with overcompensating, when you have a Fire TV and there is a Amazon Prime original series, you'll see the thumbnail constantly. Like every time you turn on the TV on the main menu, if there's a new show, you'll see it. And I kept seeing the Runarounds, and that's the show we're doing today. My second choice for favorite shows that came out in 2025. Yeah, so I mean, it just looked like a show that I would want to watch, and there really wasn't anything. It wasn't like Welcome to Derry, where I already had this preconceived, already excited about it. I'd never heard of the Runarounds. I didn't know anything about it. And I just decided to turn it on, and I watched the first episode, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm in." I was just like, "This is a really, really cute show."
When did you watch it without me?
It had to have been while you were traveling, because that's the only time I ever really watched stuff without you. And
blame me, per usual.
In what way was I blaming you? Anyway, yeah, I just saw it, and I thought it looked like a good show. I started watching it. I didn't finish it, so we're going to have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's only 8 episodes, so yeah, it's...
And then, we'll talk maybe a little more, but what I liked about it, especially, was that it had a lot of storylines that, left it open to want to follow. But we can talk more about that.
All right, so it is the end of the month, and we are going to be talking about the Runarounds today. We're going to be judging the pilot for the Runarounds, but we're also going to be talking about what you can expect from us in February. We're recording out of order, so I keep having to remind myself that this is the last episode of the month. We're trying to get all of our episodes in for January.
I have a ton of work travel, so we are really trying to get January done. We did have a goal of getting it done in December, but we'll probably get it done by January 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan, but we unexpected visit from Maddie. We kind of got that, not last minute, but kind of last minute, so we kind of had to reconfigure everything, but we're going to have everything done on by the 2nd or the 3rd of January.
Yeah.
So by the time you start traveling, we'll probably already be into our February shows.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun, and we got a fun theme, as always. We got a fun theme for February. We'll talk about that later on, but for now, Anna's going to do what she always does and give us some episode and series information.
Alrighty, the Runarounds pilot. The Runarounds is a musical coming-of-age drama that premiered on Amazon Prime Video on September 1st, 2025, and currently has 8 episodes. The series was created by Jonas Pate, best known for creating the Netflix hit show Outer Banks with his twin brother, Josh Pate, and their writing partner, Shannon Burke. Love Outer Banks.
Oh, yeah.
The pilot was directed by Jonas Pate and was written by Pate and David Wilcox. Josh Pate and Shannon Burke serve as executive producers. The series takes place in Wilmington, North Carolina, and centers around a group of high school graduates, aspiring musicians as they attempt to navigate becoming a successful rock band despite being in an industry where rock and roll has shifted out of the mainstream.
Such a crazy thing to say, but like it is kind of true.
The series stars as William Lipton as Charlie Cooper, lead vocalist, rhythm guitar, and songwriter of the band. Charlie is your typical dreamer. He often does things without thinking and tends to follow his heart, all of which usually leads him to getting in trouble. Alex Ellis plays Neil Crosby, guitarist and co-lead vocalist. Neil is carefree, sensitive, and a hopeless romantic. He desperately wants to make it big as a musician so he doesn't have to follow in his dad's footsteps as a contractor. Jesse Gallier as Wyatt Wysong, bass guitar, and one of the band's main songwriters. Wyatt is an introverted and very talented musician and composer, but he has a troubled home life dealing with an addict mother. Zendi Murdoch as Bez Willis, drummer. Bez is sarcastic yet grounded. He is often shown to be more talented than the others and struggles with staying with the Runarounds or going off to do bigger and better things. Jeremy Yun as Topher Park, lead guitarist. Topher is extremely pragmatic and struggles with choosing between his dreams of being a musician and the easy path of going to college and majoring in business. Maximo Salas as Pete Antuna, the band's co-manager. Pete is the heart of the group. I love him.
I know, he's the best.
He was the original drummer, but proved to be untalented and sort of unreliable.
Yep.
When he is replaced by Bez, he remains loyal to the band and becomes their manager. Marley Alaya as Ruthie Bender, the band's videographer and social media manager. Bender has a great sense of humor and is seen as adventurous and spontaneous, but struggles with showing her vulnerable side, especially when she begins to catch romantic feelings for one of the band members. Kelly Pereira as Amanda, Topher's girlfriend and eventual co-manager. Amanda is the brains of the operation. At first, she is against Topher and his dreams of becoming a musician, but eventually comes around and becomes the band's actual manager. I love her too.
Oh, she's so funny. Yeah.
She would have been me.
Yeah.
And Lila Pete as Sophia Kinney, a close friend of Bender and Amanda's and Charlie's longtime crush. Sophia's original plan was to go to college and become a doctor, but she begins to rethink those plans when she becomes the band's main songwriter. Sophia lost her mom to cancer and must deal with her dad's alcoholism. Lila Pate is Jonah Pate's daughter.
Yeah, the creator's daughter.
Oh, the creator's daughter. Brooklyn Decker and Hayes MacArthur have recurring roles as Charlie's parents. Midland frontman Mark Wystrack plays Catesby, a local music store owner where the band hangs out, and country singer Mackenzie Porter plays Phoebe, another local singer and Neil's love interest. The Runarounds is unique compared to other shows about bands in that the Runarounds are a real band. In 2021, a casting call went out looking for a band to perform on an episode of Outer Banks. Lifelong best friends William Lipton and Jeremy Young, Charlie and Topher, have been bandmates since they were 6 years old. It's really cute when they show real pictures, not like photoshopped
real footage,
of them. They auditioned for the Outer Banks episode together and described themselves as a package deal. They were cast along with Ellis, Gallagher, and Murdoch, and they formed the Runarounds for Season 3, Episode 7 of Outer Banks, entitled Happy Anniversary, where they appeared as the band playing for Kiara's parents' anniversary party. The group of guys instantly clicked and formed a band in real life. Jonas Pate was so impressed with this that he was inspired to write a show based on the band and wanted them to star in the series. So although it's not a direct spin-off, the Runarounds and Outer Banks canonically exist in the same universe. After the series premiered, the Runarounds went on a national tour to promote the show and their music, and even came to Baton Rouge. And you've told me that I was traveling, so again, my fault that we missed it.
It's actually your fault, though.
It is. Although it has been confirmed, it hasn't been confirmed. Everyone is expecting the series to get renewed for a second season. You can currently watch the series on Amazon Prime Video.
God, you made it through that whole thing
without a yawn, and it just hit me. Sorry, I was doing so good.
Yeah, they played at Chelsea's, so I don't know if I really would have wanted to go to that because I'm not 22 anymore.
Well,
but
and that's what I was thinking when you said Chelsea's.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, it was going to be like a bunch of college students and maybe us there, and that would have been awkward or kind of a pain. But.
Yeah, so their tour ends in March, so if they do get renewed, then they probably wouldn't start filming until like the summertime anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it hopefully, I mean, like, I don't know how the season ends, but hopefully they get renewed for a second season. We're kind of same with Welcome to Derry. We're just kind of like, how have you not been renewed yet? But I mean, you know, that's just how these streaming services are. They take forever to renew, and then people complain about shows not coming out for 2-3 years. I'm like, it's not the production's fault. It's the network's fault or the streaming service's fault for taking so long to renew the show. All right, so I picked this show mostly because we don't really do, other than the musical month, we haven't really done a lot of shows or any shows really that are about music, like that are about, like, musicals are their own thing, and I feel like we kind of did that with like Glee.
Well,
and
shows that were about music, but not bands.
Right. We haven't really done a show like this before, and also it was also a show that like I knew if I showed it to you, I knew you were gonna like it.
Oh yeah.
I knew you were gonna be into it. Even though it is nothing like Outer Banks. Outer Banks is basically just like a soap opera at this point.
Outer Banks to me is like kind of funny. The Outsiders, but current. You know, It's very much like rich versus poor in school.
Oh, it becomes so much more than that about the treasure hunt and all that. And great show, but I mean, like, but it does have the same like vibe as Outer Banks, and I always kind of make this joke where like it always looks like it's sunset, where there's always that kind of like golden kind of like look to it, where everyone just looks like it looks like it looks like air conditioning does not exist.
Yes,
like,
they're all shiny.
And it just, you know, it's just always this very like everyone's always like wearing, you know, like cargo shorts and it basically like
tank tops,
basically like how I dress. Just like it has the same vibe, although it is just completely different. But yeah, I immediately kind of fell in love with the show because it just it tells a story that, I mean, it's so coming of age, it's so classic coming of age, and that era of your life where you just graduated from high school and maybe you don't have a plan, like maybe you don't. And I think that's more common than ever now. It's just you don't. A lot of people when they graduate high school, maybe not everyone goes to college. I didn't go to college. I mean, like, I technically went to college.
And now
but
a big thing is gap year. And also, like, trade schools or community college.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now there are so many more known options than, say, when I was in school. And I know we're only 15 years apart. But, gosh, in the 80s, it was you either went to work, you went to college, or you got married. I mean, there might have been community college, but it definitely wasn't. I mean, there was community college. I'm not going to say there maybe was, but it wasn't as expansive as it is today. Like, it was definitely like a lead in to college. Like, you couldn't get a degree, but now at community colleges, you can get an associate's degree, and some even have like a bachelor's degree. So, I mean, I definitely feel like there are way more opportunities.
Yeah, like when I went to Baton Rouge Community College after I graduated high school, it was basically like you were getting a degree in something, but like it was meant to transfer over to a 4-year college once you were done. It was like you were getting an associate's degree in liberal arts. You're getting an associate's degree in like general science. Like it wasn't like a specific, you couldn't like have a focus on anything. It was like you were just getting a degree in like in the department that you were, not like when you go to a 4-year and you're like a Bachelor of Science with a focus in biology or something like that, like how you do it in a 4-year. But yeah, like I mean, when I graduated high school, it was about 90% of the people I knew that went to college, it was either LSU or Southeastern, and I knew very few people who were going to other colleges. Like I knew like 1 or 2 people that went to Northwestern. I knew one person that was going to Baylor, and like that's it.
That's so different from my high school. Obviously, I knew people going to the Ivy League.
I knew a couple people that went to UNO. Like North
Carolina, Rhodes College, Georgetown, Swanee, Rice University. I mean, I went to an extreme college prep magnet school, different than Woodlawn, but yeah, I mean, and that's also the difference with, I think my school was, there was like extreme pressure to go on to college. So I think that was something that was very different between you and I as well.
Yeah.
An update.
Maddie's leaving now.
Yay.
She be on her way. I'll be contrapting her.
All right, contraptor.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like there was, maybe it was just because I know that there are tons of universities in New Orleans, but I feel like when you live in Baton Rouge and you have a college like LSU in your city, that's just massive and huge. And if anyone listening's never been on the LSU campus, it's huge. I mean, like, it's such a big school. I mean, it's not as big as like a lot of other state schools, but it's pretty damn big. And but yeah, like I just knew, I think maybe 75%. I knew, like, and I only knew a few people that went to Southeastern. It was all LSU. Like, everyone was going to LSU. I knew like one or two people that went to UNO, a few that went to Southeastern. Yeah, it was just like all LSU or BRCC. Like, I went to BRCC, and I knew a ton of kids that I went to high school with that were there, but that wasn't a college experience. So I mean, like, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You weren't living on campus in a dorm doing college.
No, it felt like 13th grade. It felt like more high school without lockers. Yeah. But anyway, so I just picked this show and I think another reason why, and same with Outer Banks, is that the Pates and who, the people who create Outer Banks and their Runarounds, they should be given some type of award for character development and for like writing characters, because like both in Outer Banks and the Runarounds, I feel like they just pick these like really natural actors that just like really do a great job of feeling real and feeling like they're giving these genuine performances. And it's just really kind of refreshing, because you watch a lot of teen shows and a lot of high school shows and college age shows where everyone is just like really hot, and the acting is just very like one-dimensional, and it just feels very surface level. Even with shows that I like, you go back and watch it and you're just like, oh, you were cast because you're hot. You're cast because you're good looking. No offense to those actors, but I mean, like, these characters, I immediately liked them. I immediately fell in love with them. Like, Pete became like my favorite character, but then Wyatt kind of became my favorite character after a while. The bass player with the mean mom that you hate.
I just wanted to punch her in the face. Like, and we talked about that while we were watching. We can talk a little bit about that when you're in the pilot summary itself, because it was, to use a word of the youth today, it was triggering me about parenting. Mm-hmm. And again, you talk about, I mean, not you specifically, but I mean, people talk about, just anyone can become a parent, and it's just, you're just like, there are people who shouldn't have been parents, and that lady was one of them. I just wanted to strangle her.
Yeah, and I think that makes Wyatt a lot more of a likable character, because you have this very like sensitive, very sweet, very like kind of well-mannered young man who has this horrible mother. I mean, like, who has this. I think I briefly talk about her in the plot summary, but
okay.
It's more prominently featured in the second episode, because that's the one we just watched last night. But yeah, like it.
And I love Bez, his best friend.
Oh yeah,
he's they're all my favorite because I love them all for various reasons.
Right,
so
same.
Yeah.
Even when Charlie makes me kind of mad, because he in the second episode he will probably make you kind of mad. So anyway, another reason why I love this show is the music. The music is, I mean, it's very much. They start out as like kind of a cover band, and then they start writing original music and performing original music, but the covers that they do really feels like the songs from my era. So it just kind of, and I know that they play older songs, and I know that they're just kind of like lovers of rock music in general, so it's not just going to be from my era. But the first two episodes, a lot of their covers are from are like Weezer and Jet and Franz Ferdinand. Like that's kind of the millennial alternative rock and roll. I immediately fell in love with the music. Their original music is so good. It's definitely a show that I can. It's definitely a soundtrack that I can like listen to in the car, especially with their original music. I think Sophia and Senior Year are two really great songs. If you've never heard it, go listen to it. All right, so a big thing about this show that I wanted to talk about is that we are from Southern Louisiana.
Yes.
And I would say a big thing in Southern Louisiana is we have a huge music scene down here.
Yes.
Especially when you were
jazz was invented here.
Especially when you were growing up and when I was growing up, there was always a live show to go see. There was always some band or some musicians. There's, you walk around downtown Baton Rouge, you walk around downtown New Orleans, and there are, people playing music on the sidewalk, and that's just something that we grew up with and something that we were very used to, not realizing that that's not entirely common in every other city. Not like it doesn't happen anywhere, but right. I mean, like it's very
available.
It's very available in Southern Louisiana. It's very common in Southern Louisiana, and it's something that like you don't realize isn't necessarily that uncommon. It's not that common elsewhere. So I know that you and I both saw a lot of local bands growing up.
Yes.
What were some local bands that like kind of you remember the most?
So my local band stuff really started a lot in like junior high and with like church youth group stuff. It was like whoever the junior high or the church youth group could afford. And so that's why you would see local bands, because they just wanted to play.
Yeah.
And they wanted to play in front of an audience that could get them mainstream teens. So I belonged to several church youth groups. It was just because it was something my mom would approve if it involved going to church,
right.
Any church. Except a couple churches. But anyway, or if it was school. And so one of the bands that I learned about locally was The Cold, which was Vance DeGeneres, Ellen DeGeneres' brother's local band. Ellen DeGeneres and Vance are from, I believe, Metairie, New Orleans, Louisiana. But Vance DeGeneres had a band called The Cold, and they were very popular. I mean, I don't know if it's still an active band, but I mean, he was still performing for a long time. So that was one that the Catholic youth group that I belonged to, they would hire that band to play like their CYOs, or they would also be on what is one of the old riverboats called the President, and they would have concerts on the President. And I remember my mom would always let me go to concerts on the President, which is weird because it's a boat on the river. But she always felt like she knew where I was. Like she knew I couldn't just get off the boat and go like run around town and do something. So she would always let me go to those concerts. The other one has a little bit of a backstory that leads to a current band, and it is the band called the Backbeats. This was a band that played at my junior high that was part of a reward to encourage kids to do well. If you had gotten like a certain grade point average, you got to go to like the free concert of the semester.
That's insane that y'all got to do that.
Yeah. Well, and this is my junior high. Shout out to Edna Carr, football national champions in the state of Louisiana this year. They're now a high school.
Sick.
But yes, I mean, I actually like that. I mean, I usually always had good grades anyway, but I mean, if you didn't have the money to go to concerts and stuff, I mean, at least it was a way for you to be able to go to see one for free, and it encouraged you to do well in school. So, I mean, there's that. But the Backbeats was a local band from New Orleans, and its lead singer was Fred LeBlanc, who eventually formed the band Cowboy Mouth.
Gotcha.
And so I sit there, and so, one of my good friends, Todd, from undergrad, freaking loves Cowboy Mouth. And I had never made that connection back in college. And I was like, I knew him. And so when I looked up the history of Cowboy Mouth, I'm like, oh my gosh, they were the Backbeats first. And so that was just crazy to me that I knew of Fred LeBlanc back in like 1981, 82, before they were Cowboy Mouth, who is very famous today. They still tour and they go around.
I don't know if they're famous, but
I think they're pretty famous.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know. You don't think so?
I don't want to offend anyone.
We don't want to offend Cowboy Mouth.
Cowboy
I
Mouth,
love y'all.
Cowboy Mouth was a one-hit wonder, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they still tour.
They're still current. I mean, they're still doing stuff. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if I would call them famous. They're famous here. Yeah. They're famous in Southern Louisiana.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're, like, famous in, like, Germany or anything, but you never know. So anyway, those were mine. I mean, and there were always other small local bands that would come through, like the Producers. I don't know where they were from, but they might have been from the South. They weren't from Louisiana, I don't think, but they would come to New Orleans a lot. I think also, I think that what we were really lucky was New Orleans was a definite tour circuit route for small bands. It was easy to hit up like Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, like Biloxi. The Gulf Coast had the Gulf Coast Coliseum. You could go and hit the beaches in like Pensacola, Destin. I mean, I don't know what's in the Panhandle, but that was an easy drag. Austin,
venues,
they could easily do the I-10 stint and hit a lot of cities relatively easily, which is what I think those small bands look for, to be able to go to make a lot of shows really easily. So those were mine. What about you?
So a lot of the bands I'm going to talk about were never famous. They were never they never took off. But so I was more into the kind of like punk scene when I was a teenager, punk, metal a little bit, but
emo,
mostly pop punk, emo, regular old punk, ska, stuff like that. But I remember going to there used to be a music festival in Baton Rouge that was called, I think it was called Bonfet, and it was in the 90s. It only lasted for a few years, and sometimes they would have bands that like became famous, but I remember that was the first time I saw Better Than Ezra. That was the first time I saw there's Better Than Ezra, Cowboy Mouth, and then there's like a third
in that trifecta
that I can't remember right now, but I remember seeing all three of those. I've seen Cowboy Mouth live so many times. Like I just shat on them, but like I've seen them live a bunch of times. But growing up, when I was in high school, I always wanted to be in a band. Like I think a lot of people do at some point, but I never really played an instrument. I didn't really have the singing voice for like a punk band, so I never really was able to be in a band, but I was always very envious of like my friends that were in bands and stuff. But I had a few friends that were in bands that played, around Baton Rouge. My stepbrother Tyler was in a band. I think their original name, these are going to be the most high school sounding band names ever, but I think their original name was No K, and they were kind of like a thrash rock, like a hard rock type, and then they turned into Hostile Takeover, and they became I think it was more of like a metalcore, like screaming metal type of genre, and they played a lot at Northgate Tavern, Spanish Moon, everybody.
Oh, wow.
A lot of that.
Spanish Moon downtown?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. I haven't been there in so long.
If it even exists.
If it even exists anymore. And then there was my other friend, Ryan and Steven, who were in a band called Inspectors. I think it was Inspectors. You couldn't say The Inspectors. It was Inspectors. And they were just like just a regular old punk band. And they kind of had like a revolving door of band members, but it was always Ryan and Steven. Ryan playing bass, Steven on drums. And they kind of had like a revolving door of like vocalists, guitar players, but they always played off and on together for like 4 or 5 years, something like that. And then a lot of the local bands that I saw growing up were this punk band called Nullified, who I'm kind of bummed that they never like took off. Like I'm kind of bummed because like I had their EP and they were great. Like they were a really talented. Obviously I don't know what happened to them. I don't even remember like their names or anything, but they were really good. I saw them a few times and I really liked them. Like I said, I bought their EP. It was like a 6-track CD, like 6 songs on there, and they were really good. And you just never really know like what happens to these people when they don't. They could still be musicians. I have no idea. One of my other friends, another Ryan. I have a lot of friends named Ryan. I have a lot of friends named Ryan. A lot of friends named Matt. A lot of friends named Josh. But yeah, I have Ryan, who that was the one that you met at B Arcade.
Oh, that
one time,
yeah.
He was in a band called Not Yet. I think that was the name of the band, and I really liked them. They were another like kind of punk, like kind of 90s punk cover kind of thing. And then there was one of my favorites was, so a lot of times we would go to these shows, and like Inspectors would play, Tyler's band would play, whatever they were called at the time. And then Nullified and Not Yet, like all these kind of bands would always all play together. And there was this other band. I loved that their name was Stanley's Car, and I don't know why I loved that name so much, but
was someone in the band named Stanley?
Yes, and they did travel in his car, so I mean I think that there was like an actual point to it, but the whole joke was Chance, who Chance, we were at one of these shows and he was in the parking lot, and I guess he was backing out. And he hit Stanley's car. And so that was like the whole joke. We were like, Chance hit Stanley's car. But they were like a ska band. They had like so many people in their band. They had a ska band and they were really good.
Did Tyler's band ever play outside of Baton Rouge? Like, did they ever go anywhere?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. And then there was Rick's band, Rick and Ian's band. I don't remember their band name. It was like something Robots. It was like Kill Robots or something like that. And another one of my friends' bands, I think they were called Merkins or the Merkins or something like that.
Okay, that's not good.
And what?
The Merkins?
Yeah.
You know what a Merkin is, right, babe?
No.
A Merkin is like what covers a woman's hoo-ha. Like it's like a fake one.
Okay.
I think
that's the name of the band. I don't know what to tell you. They were like a little punk band from Baton Rouge from a long time ago. Yeah, they're not together anymore.
Oh, well, or hopefully they have a new name.
Yeah, but anyway, I can cut that if that's too offensive.
Yeah,
but
well, I just pulled it up to make sure I was correct. It is an artificial hair covering for the pubic area.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a vag wig.
Oh.
So
that's not offensive. That's just
it's
weird.
not offensive. It's like a real thing. But why would you name a guy?
Why are bands called anything?
I
mean,
know,
like,
but that's a weird one for a bunch of guys. I mean, that could be like a female band name. I don't know. I think that just surprised me. That's funny.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, I was gonna ask you what the heck did no K mean? Like,
I don't know. I don't know what any of these bands. I don't know what any of these band names meant. Like
Stanley's Car.
Yeah.
I love it.
Stanley's Car was a funny one though. I always remember that one.
Especially since there was an actual Stanley and
Yeah.
they went around in his car.
But yeah, those are kind of the ones that I remember the most. There really weren't a lot of like, oh, I saw this band. I know this band before they got famous or something like that. Like I discovered, not me personally, but there were a lot of like bands worldwide that like I kind of found out before they came famous, and that kind of leads into my next question.
Yes.
So the whole thing with the Runarounds is like they're trying to become a successful rock band. They're trying to become like, rock stars, quote unquote. And, it's all these kind of people, if they do end up becoming a famous band, like you kind of have all these people that were like, oh, they played at my graduation party. Oh, I saw them at this small little venue. And you kind of always hear people talk about like, oh, well, I was at this little hole in the wall, and this band was playing, and it turned out to be Green Day. You know, it was just kind of like you kind of hear these stories from random people about like kind of seeing these bands or discovering these bands before they became famous. Do you kind of have any of those? Like, doesn't necessarily have to be bands that like you knew, but like bands that you kind of like found out about, and then maybe you like came across their CD or their record one day, listened to it, and then like the following year or like a few months later, their single comes out.
I think I'm not going to say like I totally knew of these bands before they were famous in any way. I mean, the two that are off the top of my head were Hootie and the Blowfish. Like, I think I had heard one of their songs on MTV. Obviously, they were on MTV, so they must have been like playing and with a label and, you know, getting publicity. But I definitely fell in love with them, I think, a lot before other people really found their music. And like, I remember getting their cassette, and for me to get a cassette was a lot because like I didn't have a car. I would probably listen to it on my boombox in my apartment. And so that was one that I think I liked, Hootie and the Blowfish, a long time before a lot of people did. The other one I kind of feel like is Alanis Morissette. Like, I loved her immediately.
Yeah.
She was one that just resonated to me, and I don't think a lot of people, you know, knew who she was. She was Canadian, and I don't, you know, remember a lot of people knowing who she was and going to her concert, and people are like, what concert are you going to? And then like a year later, Jagged Little Pill or something came out, and it was like, oh, okay, angry white woman or whatever. And I'm like, no, powerful white woman. You know, like, I love her. She's saying it like it is. And so I loved her early on. I think before a lot of people came around to really knowing who she was.
Yeah.
What about you?
I have a few. So I had my older stepbrother Wes. He was really, really into music, and he was kind of me and Tyler's kind of original kind of guide into rock music, because we're like 5 years younger than him. So when he was like 18, 19, we were still like in middle school, still kind of figuring out like our music tastes and stuff like that. We were taken to a 311 concert. I think it was the summer of 2000. And we went to a 311 concert, and there was an opening band, and they had been around for a few years, but they hadn't like taken off yet. They had a fan base, obviously, but they had this new album coming out, and we were able to buy the album. That band was Incubus.
Oh,
and Make Yourself was the album that we bought at the concert, and then Stellar was the single that came out literally like a couple months later. It was like a couple months later. Stellar was on the radio, and it was playing every 5 seconds on the radio, and then all of a sudden Incubus just became this huge band. And I remember like at some point in my sophomore year, I think Incubus was coming back to Baton Rouge, and they were headlining they weren't opening anymore. They were headlining, and it was like all of a sudden everyone's like, are you going to the Incubus concert? And it was just so funny because it was just like, oh, I was listening to them, and it was so brief. Like, it was like we discovered them literally right before they blew up, and it was kind of cool. Like, it was kind of cool to kind of have that, oh, you're just now hearing of Incubus. Like, it was like the really one of the first times I was really kind of able to do that. But they stayed one of my favorite bands for such a long time. Their older stuff is absolutely amazing. We were going to see them live one time. You had free tickets through the casino that in New Orleans. But when I saw their set list, it was like all songs I'd never heard of from their last few albums.
I don't remember. Something else happened. Was that?
It was the venue. It was the venue.
Was it the Fillmore?
Yeah, it was the venue because we were just gonna be standing the whole time, and we had gone to a parade.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was it the night of the parade? And it was just like, were we gonna go and just stand for 2 or 3 hours? And that might have been when had I fallen. Had I already had my leg injury?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't think we would have been a parade if you're...
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
But another one, so I've talked about it before. One of my favorite movies, one of my favorite soundtracks is Angus, and it came out in the '90s. And what are you doing?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
There was the Angus soundtrack is like one of my favorite soundtracks, one of my favorite movies. The music is so great. There were a lot of kind of bands on that soundtrack that like they weren't super well known yet. I think there was like Goo Goo Dolls was on there, and Weezer was also on there, and they hadn't blown up yet. I remember really liking the song that was on the soundtrack and going to a CD store and buying the Blue album and listening to it and loving it. And then before I know it, Buddy Holly is playing on the radio. The Sweater, the Undone songs playing on the radio all the time. And it was just like, oh, I kind of knew about them before they got famous. It was another kind of like right before. It was like right before they kind of blew up.
Beverly Hills, whatever that song was.
Oh,
was
yeah.
That Weezer?
Yeah, that was a little later on. And then another band that it was, I don't know how, I think with the old music downloading sites with like Napster and LimeWire and whatever you had, like you were kind of also able to download random bands. And I don't remember how I came into contact. I don't know how I initially found out about the Killers, but I remember
love them.
I remember downloading a bunch of their songs, and maybe someone was like, "Hey, have you heard of this band?" And it was before Mr. Brightside. It was the single before Mr. Brightside. I think it was called like Ex-Girlfriend or something like that. And I remember downloading a bunch of their songs and really liking them. And then literally like a few months later, Ex-Girlfriend's playing on the radio, and they're going to be at Voodoo Fest, and we were all really excited, and I got to go see them at Voodoo Fest. And then another band that I know I was a fan of before they got famous was Newfound Glory. That's one of my favorite bands from high school. That is the epitome of emo. Like they're the ones that do all the covers of like Power of Love and the song from Frozen. Like they're that band that I play all the time.
Gotcha.
And I just remember like I listened to them for years before they were all of a sudden playing on Conan, and all of a sudden their album is huge and they have music videos. I'm just like, oh, I've been listening to them for like 2 years, like before they got super famous. So I was really kind of like excited that they finally kind of they were able to kind of blow up, because there was just so much of that genre in the early 2000s that there was just so much pop punk, there was so much emo. It felt like there was a new emo band every week coming out with a new song, and they all kind of sounded the same. And Newfound Glory was able to come out and they had their hits, and they're still making music, and they're still coming out with covers and really good covers of songs. And yeah, so that Newfound Glory is probably the big one, though. I would say that's the one that I was like, I can say that like that was one of my favorite bands for like a really long time. I don't know if they're still one of my favorite bands, but like I definitely will always have a special place in my heart for Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of have those bands and those artists that we may not listen to them as much as we listen to other of our favorite stuff, but at one point we were obsessed. You know, at one point I listened to Newfound Glory like every day. You know, it was just kind of that thing. Well, they had their original albums, and then they had their cover albums. So it was like in all of their cover albums, the theme was it was from the screen to your stereo, and it was all famous songs from movies. And so it was like, that was also, like they did The Never Ending Story, they did The Goonies Are Good Enough, like they did a whole bunch of, what's the one from Pretty Woman? I loved it so much. King of Wishful Thinking.
King of Wishful Thinking, yes.
That's like my favorite one that they do. Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer. Like just a bunch of really great songs.
Yeah,
and,
you have them on in the radio a lot when we're like going into Orleans.
And they do such a good job of incorporating like the guitar into other instruments from the original songs. They're so good at incorporating like the guitar into it. I love it. I love them. I will probably, now that I'm thinking about it, I'll probably start listening to them again.
Okay.
All right, so I kind of have a tough one. We're talking about music. We're talking about how much you and I both love music. We're both huge. We're very passionate about our music. And I know this is a really hard question to ask.
Okay.
But do you have like a top 5 favorite bands, favorite artists? They don't have to be above all else. But like when you think, if it's almost like gun to your head, what are your top favorite bands? Like, just not literally, but like.
Well, I will say, you just said we're very passionate. I probably was way more passionate about music when I was in school, like high school, college, even law school, which is crazy because when I moved to Seattle, like that was like kind of still at the very height of the grunge era and stuff. So, but I didn't actually see too many concerts when I lived in Seattle, certainly not at like local clubs and venues. I mean, I did go to a few concerts, but not like grungy music.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick of my life, I did put more than 5. So
you're good.
I probably won't talk as much as like you get passionate about them, but I have like my go-tos, and these are artists that I will say that I can put on their music at any time, and it just takes me back. It makes me feel good. They're my reliability. They are the music that I go to because I know they'll make me feel good, make me feel happy, etc. They are the Go-Go's.
Oh, yeah.
Alanis Morissette, Yaz, Hootie and the Blowfish. And kind of, I haven't listened to Darius Rucker's music as a solo artist. But I think Hootie and the Blowfish, I think the band is back together and they're doing new stuff. So I might need to check that out. The Psychedelic Furs.
Nice.
Depeche Mode, The Cure, Backstreet Boys, The Police, Duran Duran, and The Bangles. Like, I just loved all of those bands. It's obviously very 80s, very 90s music. I mean, you have your current people that, I mean, obviously I could throw in stuff like Taylor Swift and, you know, like that.
Yeah.
And I know, don't come at me, Swifties. I love my Taylor Swift. I've loved her since the beginning. Hell, her first hit was Tim McGraw. I'll put it out there. I went to college with Tim McGraw. So
name drop.
I have known Taylor since she started. And yes, she is on my playlist at the gym. She pumps me up, but I'm not going to like be like, oh my gosh, she's like my ride or die. Those are like my core memory of growing up. Taylor is like my current, you know, what do you call it? Like vice or current like love of, you know, just what's on the radio. So, you know, I love her too. And then there are other groups like Jonas Brothers who I love one or two of their hits.
One Direction.
1D. Oh, I love a ton of their stuff. They're probably, the only boy band according to Aaron Dugal, currently. But yeah, so those are some of my faves. Those are just the ones that bring me back, that make me feel good, that pump me up. And that, you know, if I need a good tune, I can find them in my Apple library or on the YouTubes. What about you?
Of course, I wrote more than 5 because you did more than 5. So
blame me, per usual. What else is new?
Well, I originally had 5, and I was like, oh, I just thought of like 5 more.
It's hard to just have one.
So this is kind of like just once again off the top of my head, but I think ultimately, the reason why I'm like, don't think too deeply about it. Off the top of your head, who are some of your favorites? I think you'll get your genuine favorites when you do that. Like,
right. That was hard for me to say 5.
I think when you think too deeply on it, you're like, oh, but I really like these 2 songs. And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with like their music as a whole. Who do you love the most?
Because I could easily add groups like Foreigner, Styx, Doobie
Journey,
Brothers, Journey. I mean, like, you know, I've
Queen.
just Sagala, Queen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to like my playlist, I still have old playlists of when I was doing half marathon training, and those were the bands that would like pump me up, or that I think, when I exercise, I have to listen to something, and it's to pass the time. Yeah. Like I'll watch a Smosh episode or an episode of, Sex Lives of College Girls or something, and it's because I know this episode is 30 minutes, or this playlist that I've created is 42 minutes. And so when I know I'm close to being done, I'm almost finished my workout or whatever it is. And that's how my mind works. So it was hard to pick 5 because there are dozens I go to. So what are yours?
So
Sorry.
I wrote down 9.
Okay.
So I'll kind of start from the bottom. So number 9, I have Arcade Fire. They're kind of like they kind of came out during this era that not we're currently living in, but they came out kind of like the last era of like rock music, of being in the mainstream, which is once again just such a crazy thing to say, but like rock isn't really a thing anymore. I mean, like it still is, but like we're talking about bands that already existed, or
you're right. I mean, I can't think of like, I mean, probably are. I just don't listen to the radio or Spotify, that intensely. But yeah,
you just don't hear it. It's very right now. Music is very like solo artist. It's very
social media based.
Yeah,
very like whoever can launch on social media.
It's all like Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan.
I love them.
All these like solo artists. So, you're not really getting like a band vibe anymore. And Arcade Fire kind of came out during the last era of like rock bands coming out regularly. I also have Depeche Mode. They're one of my favorites. Talking Heads. Psycho Killer is like one of my favorite songs of all time. Road to Nowhere. I can listen to it every single day. I absolutely love that song. Dire Straits is another one. Walk of Life was apparently a song that I've loved my whole life because my mom would play it in the car and I would fall asleep. So apparently I've loved that song since I was a baby. Of course, I can't have this conversation and not bring up the Ramones. I've been loving them since before it was cool to be a teenager and love the Ramones. It seems like every time you want to be an edgy character in a movie, the teenager has to be wearing a Ramones t-shirt, but I loved them long before that. Joan Jett, obviously. Joan Jett is probably if I were to pick like a favorite other than my number one, Joan Jett is probably number two. I have loved her since I first watched Freaks and Geeks, and
Aww.
Bad Reputation is the theme song, and I had never really listened to Joan Jett before that, and then I became obsessed. That's how I discovered the Runaways, and then that whole genre, and then that whole band. Before she became Joan Jett, she was the guitarist and lead vocalist in the Runaways, and they were a great band. Amber Lynn is another one. I don't listen to them as much as I used to.
I remember you listening
but
to them.
I love them. I love them. They were a band that I was introduced to when I lived in Florida, and their music videos would play at Hard Rock where I worked, and I just loved every song that I heard by them. I just loved, and I just kind of continue listening to them my whole life, and every now and then I'll just kind of put it on. I'm like, oh, this is so good. So we're kind of going into my more like, I can't, like, when I immediately think of my favorite artists, these are the ones that come to mind. Fleetwood Mac is
that's a banger from my sister.
That's
brothers
one where
era.
like you listen to any of their albums and you're like, every song is good. Like every song is great. You listen to the Rumors album, every song is great.
Oh, that album, yes.
There's a reason why it's one of the greatest albums ever made.
Yeah, it was the top-selling album until Thriller.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's so insanely good. Stevie Nicks as a solo artist is also really good. Love a lot of her stuff, but Fleetwood Mac just kind of generalizes that. Of course, Phil Collins. I mean, come on. I mean, Phil Collins and Genesis in general. Like, I love Phil Collins' music. Something Happened on the Way to Heaven is probably my favorite song of all time.
Oh yeah, you told me
and
that.
I could never explain why I love it so much, but I just do. And then of course my number one favorite band of all time is Radiohead. That is, anyone who knows me is not gonna be surprised at all by that.
Nope.
They're the best. I love them so much. They're my little weirdo prog rock band, and I love them, and I will never not love them. All right, let's get into this plot summary.
Let's do it.
And then we're going to talk to you about February. All right, the Runarounds plot summary. We are introduced to Charlie Cooper. Charlie is about to graduate high school, and after being rejected by 11 colleges, was finally accepted by one. However, Charlie hasn't told his parents he has no plans of going to college because he has big dreams of making it as a musician. Charlie plays guitar, sings, and writes songs. His plan is to try and make it big by the end of the summer and to tell his parents he's not going to college. Charlie's sister Tatum, who's a super cute little girl, who's his little critic throughout the season. It's really cute.
Yeah.
Charlie's sister informs him that he's going to be late for school, so Charlie rushes to his car. Charlie then narrates and introduces his friends and bandmates. Their band is called the Futhermuckers, which is the most high school sounding band name I've ever heard in my life.
They thought they were being so cool.
and Charlie thinks they can be the next great rock band. So we're introduced to the bandmates. We're first introduced to Neil, who is caught smoking a joint by a teacher. Pete, the drummer, is smoking weed in his car instead of being in third period. The only one in the group that has it the most together is Topher. He is going to Princeton. He's on the golf team, and his girlfriend Amanda keeps him on a tight leash. The band has their first gig at Pete's house party. The band has their first gig at Pete's house party that night. Charlie then narrates and begins talking about Sophia Kinney. Charlie has had a crush on Sophia since 9th grade when he walked into a chess club meeting where Sophia was the only member. That was a really cute scene.
It was very cute.
Ever since then, he's tried to get her attention, but wasn't very successul. Sophia is a classic overachiever. She gets perfect grades. She's the class valedictorian. She's going to college to become a doctor. She has a lot on her plate. In her personal life, her mom died of cancer a few years back, and her dad has become an alcoholic. Sophia doesn't really have time for dating or going to parties. It's the night of Pete's party, and Charlie is on the roof about to ride off in a bicycle to land in the pool. Which you didn't see the pool at first, so you were like, is he trying to kill himself?
I was like, I thought he was going into the bushes that looked like they were lit up with like sparkle lights. And I was like, what is he doing? And so I didn't see the pool like kind of on the edge of the roof. It wasn't immediately obvious.
Despite Topher trying to talk him out of it, Charlie does it anyway and lands in the pool, but ends up destroying it. Which
it's an above-the-ground pool, too, so it doesn't have, like, kind of the brightish lights of, like, an in-ground pool.
Sophia ends up coming to the party, and the band finally gets on stage and begins playing Take Me Out by Franz Ferdinand. They sound great until Pete is unable to keep up with his drumming. It's very clear that Charlie, Topher, and Neil are much better musicians, and Pete is just bad. There's just no other way to put it. Heart of gold, but a terrible drummer. They are heckled by a guy in the crowd. Pete gets pissed and walks off stage, but ends up tripping over some wires, causing a fire. The next day, Charlie, Topher, and Neil decide to find a new drummer. They don't tell Pete right away, but realize that Pete is probably grounded for setting his house on fire. Charlie makes flyers looking for a new drummer. We see a car pulling up to a house. It's the heckler from the party. His name is Bez. Bez is visiting his best friend, Wyatt. We learn that Bez is a drummer, and Wyatt plays guitar and writes songs. I keep wanting to say Pez.
I know.
Bez has big plans to move to New York after graduation, even though his mom is very much against it. Wyatt's mom is leaving for work and reminds Wyatt that he's about to graduate high school, so his free ride is over. He needs to find a job and start helping out with paying bills and such.
I mean, what kind of kills me, and of course we're coming in on it, on just like her telling him now, and maybe she had been like sort of preparing for him, but it's like all of a sudden you need to have $400.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, most jobs you don't get paid for 2 weeks. So even if he got a job that day, like when would he have it? But I was telling you, you know, and we've talked about parents and growing up and making college decisions and things. I think both you and I can say both of our parents would have never told us we could not come home.
Yeah.
Never. I mean, you had 2 houses to possibly go back to, and I absolutely know for a fact your mom or your dad would never be like, you don't have a bed here.
They've done it.
Right. And same with me.
They've let me come back home.
Yeah. And same with me. And like, don't get me wrong. I mean, when I moved back home after teaching and to go to law school, I had a job. In fact, at times I had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
But the other thing was that I told you was never, not once did my mom ever come to me and say, the electric bill is $80, you owe me $40.
Yeah.
Like, I bought my own groceries, and once I had a car, I paid my own insurance and gas, and you know, I probably helped with little things and took my mom out to dinner and stuff, but never, not once did my mom ever come up to me and say, you owe me rent.
Yeah.
Like, never. And I can look back and be really thankful for that. So that's why I was really getting pissed off with this mom. I was enraged. All right, continue.
Especially at the end of the second episode.
Yes.
Where
because
I
mean, really I don't, you know, I don't know what your mom, when you lived in the Azalea Lakes house by yourself, I'm sure, you know, your mom was probably helping with the bills or the mortgage and stuff, but I'm assuming you had to buy your own groceries and gas and all of those things. I mean, she was contract nursing, so yeah.
All right. Bez and Wyatt see Charlie's flyer at a local music store. Bez isn't interested since he's leaving for New York soon, but agrees to audition, mostly for Wyatt's sake. So really, it's like Wyatt doesn't really have any friends, and Bez knows that when he goes to New York, Wyatt isn't going to really have any like friends, and so he's like, hey, I'm going to help you out. Let's just do this thing, and we'll see where it goes. They show up to the audition, and Bez shows off his drumming skills. It's very clear that Bez is an insanely talented drummer.
Oh, yeah.
He rules. Like, he's insanely good. Topher begins playing Are You Gonna Be My Girl? This is my favorite scene. This is my favorite scene like watching the band kind of become a band. It was such a subtle, but it was such a great song. Are You Gonna Be My Girl by Jet. Everybody who's anybody knows that song.
Of course.
You've heard every wedding band probably play it.
Yeah.
Charlie and Neil join in. Wyatt picks up the bass and starts jamming with them.
Or the bass. Fish.
You just pulled an Angela, right? Angela did that in the carnival, when she kept referring to it as she kept referring to it as the bass, and they were like, they kept referring to the fish as a bass.
Bass, right? The opposite.
Yeah. So Wyatt picks up the bass and starts jamming with them. So not only did the boys find a new drummer, but they also found a new bass player that also writes songs. At graduation, Sophia gives a speech about how she wished she had more fun during school. She wished she went to more parties, made more memories. She tells her classmates to go out in the world and dream big. Also a very good scene. It's the night of George's graduation party, which at first I was like, who's George? But then they introduced George in the second episode. And so I'm like, oh, I forgot that was that character's name. The one that asked out Sophia. The Futhermuckers have their first gig as a newly formed band. While setting up for the show, Pete shows up assuming he's playing drums. It's now time for Charlie, Topher, and Neil to tell Pete he's been replaced. We cut to this scene and Pete is bawling. Probably one of the funniest ugly cries I've ever seen. There was so much fluid.
Because he's also drunk, I think, by this point too. So it's even more hilarious.
There's so much fluid coming from his
eyes,
face.
His nose, his whole face is wet. It was great though.
we were cracking up. Instead of lashing out, Pete shows his true character and vows his loyalty to the new band and says he'll be their biggest fan, which was so cute. They have a big group hug, but Bez interrupts the group hug and tells the boys that Wyatt is MIA. Wyatt suffers from stage fright, mostly due to his insecurity of feeling like he's never good enough. Wyatt sneaks off to a shed of some kind, it looks like a shed, and begins having a panic attack. He envisions his mother telling him he's not good enough, he's not talented, he should give up his dreams of being a musician. Bez and the boys find him. Bez knows he's having a panic attack and remembers Wyatt telling him that he would listen to Metallica to calm down. So the boys start singing Inner Sandman, and I know you were getting...
I was so emotional. One, because I hate his mom.
Yes.
But also because, they could have easily have made fun of him or been like, oh my God, we don't need you. But they were like, one, we need you.
Yeah.
And one... two, we're going to help you. And we just don't see enough of that. And that's what I just, this scene just got me. It was so good.
The boys start singing Inner Sandman and Wyatt calms down. Also, yes, it's really hard to pick. I know I said this was my favorite scene earlier, but it's really hard to pick a favorite scene. This pilot was just so good.
It was so good.
They exit the shed and approach the stage while Inner Sandman's playing, which I loved because I love me some Metallica. Before getting on stage, Amanda stops Topher. He didn't show up to a meeting she had scheduled for a summer internship. Topher finally admits that he hates golf, doesn't care if he's a billionaire or a member of a country club. Amanda gives him an ultimatum, the band or her. She says that while he's running around with his band, she'll be a successful businesswoman. So Topher chooses the band. I'm really downplaying what all Amanda said because I remember when Topher chooses the band, you were just like, why would he choose her after all these things she just said?
Well, right, because she was being super mean to him and saying all these degrading things. And one of my things is you've just got to be nice to me. You've just got to be a nice person. But I then turned to love Amanda later.
Yeah.
So.
Second episode, she comes around. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
Charlie introduces the band to the crowd, but realizes they need a new name. Inspired by Amanda's words, Topher suggests the Runarounds. They play Wyatt's original song, Senior Year. They sound amazing. The crowd loves it. It's very clear that they are now officially a band. They have a great sound. And at the end of the song, Charlie sees Sophia in the crowd singing along.
It was so good. It was really, really good.
And during this pilot end of episode, but during this we're also introduced to Charlie's song Sophia, which isn't completely fleshed out yet. But
he sings it to his sister.
Yeah, and you kind of hear like a bit of it, but you kind of that's also kind of part of it. I also left a lot of stuff out. As always, since these are newer shows, this is probably the most detail I've gone into on a pilot summary, just because so much happened. But I mean, Prime Video, go watch this show. I know we keep saying this, but like this is going to be the month where we're going to be heavily promoting these shows because they're our favorites of 2025. So it only makes sense. We're not going to be heavily criticizing these shows because we love them. The only criticism I'll give is that there aren't enough episodes.
Well, it is new.
But yeah, like it's so good. It's so well made. The actors are amazing. It's so well written. The music is fantastic. The stories are very well told. Like it's just all around a great show.
Yeah.
And if you love music, coming of age type stuff, this is for you. And it's on Prime Video, so go watch it.
Yep.
All right, you think that wraps this one up?
That sounds like a wrap up.
All right. That wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook and Threads. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right, for the runarounds, I have the school, any of the graduate emojis, the boy or the girl graduates, any of the music ones, such as the mic, the musical notes, the guitar, the house and the bicycle, the toilet paper, because the day after, I think Pete has a party, he has like so much toilet paper in his trees, the beer, any of the drinks, the world, because of her graduation speech, the crying emoji, the chess piece, the cigarette, and the golf emoji. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.
Oh no. February.
Oh, whoops. And you wrote it down and you forgot.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I saved it before. I was literally about to hit stop. You could see the mouse is about to hit stop.
All right. Okay. We are not heading out.
We are about to head out, but not right this second. Okay. So February, our theme. So this was one where we were kind of racking our brains a little bit. We didn't want to repeat the same thing we did last time, although short-lived TV shows is an easy kind of theme to do. We wanted to do something different, and you came up with, Anna, as always, comes up with most of the themes. You came up with, hey, so what is February also known for? The Super Bowl. Yep. So it is, our theme for February is going to be sports themed TV shows, sports dramas, comedies, whatever you call it, not just football. I don't even know. Yeah, we only have one football show. We're going to have one football show, one basketball, soccer, and wrestling. So we got a good month coming up in February, so we're going to have a lot of good ones, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, I can't wait. All right, so we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.